You know, for millions of college students, some names are just part of the experience, right up there with the library and the student union. And one of those names is WebAssign. It's where so much of college happens now. Homework, quizzes, you name it. But man, it's also the source of a lot of strong feelings and even more questions. So let's get into it. If you really want to know what people think about a piece of tech, just look at what they're searching for online. And one of the top searches for WebAssign is, well, it's pretty blunt. Why is WebAssign so bad? That's not just a bug report, right? That's a cry for help. It's pure frustration. But that's just the beginning of what people are asking. And then you see this. Can WebAssign detect cheating? This one gets at a whole different kind of anxiety, doesn't it? It's that feeling of being watched. It's not just about, did I get the math right? It's about, who's looking over my shoulder and what can they see while I'm working? And of course, you can't talk about anything related to college without talking about money. This question comes up constantly. So right there, you've got the three big pillars of this whole conversation: the cost, the user-friendliness, or lack thereof, and that feeling of surveillance. Let's unpack all three. To really get what's going on, we have to put ourselves in a student's shoes. We've got to follow their journey from the very beginning. And that journey almost always starts on day one of class, with a document that sets the stage for the entire semester, the syllabus. That's right, we're calling this Step 0, because before you ever type in a URL, you've got to check that syllabus. Official documents from universities, like this FAQ from the Borough of Manhattan Community College, all say the same thing. The syllabus is your guide. It tells you what you need, what tools you'll be using, and yup, if WebAssign is going to be a part of your life for the next 15 weeks. Okay, so you've confirmed you need it. Now what? Well, getting set up is basically a 5-step dance. You get this thing called a class key from your syllabus or professor. You head to the website, pop in the key, and double-check that, yep, that's the right course. Then you make an account or log into your existing one. And then comes the final step. You either buy access right then and there, or you start the free 14-day trial. And that clock starts ticking immediately. So you're in the system. And that brings us right back to those big, nagging questions about the cost, the confusion, and how this whole thing actually works. Let's tackle that first one head-on, the price. So why are students so confused about the cost? Well, check this out. This comes straight from a university's own FAQ page. For the exact same access, a student might pay around $55 or $65 or even $75. It all depends on which website they buy it from. It's no wonder people ask why it's so expensive. It's not even clear what the price is supposed to be in the first place. And it's not just the price that's confusing, it's the language they use. Get this. You can be enrolled in the course without being registered. What does that even mean? Well, enrolled just means you're in that free trial period. You're in, but you're on borrowed time. To be fully registered, you have to actually pay up and put in the access code. It's a tiny difference in words, but it has a huge impact on your access to the class. And this right here, this gets to the very heart of that why is it so bad feeling. It's that moment where you know you solved the problem. You understand the concept, you did the math, but the computer says wrong. Why? Maybe you didn't reduce a fraction, or you put a comma in a big number, or you typed a lowercase x instead of a capital X. The system demands this kind of robotic precision, and it can be absolutely maddening when you're fighting the format, not the actual subject matter. Which, of course, brings us right back to that surveillance question. I mean, if the system is that picky about a comma, it makes you wonder what else it's monitoring, right? Can it tell if you opened a new tab to look something up? Does it know what other programs you have running? Okay, so here's the deal. On its own, for regular homework, WebAssign probably isn't tracking your other tabs. But, and this is a really big but, your instructor can choose to use extra proctoring tools, like a lockdown browser, for tests and quizzes. And that software is designed to do exactly what it sounds like. It locks down your computer. No switching tabs, no opening other applications. So the capability is definitely there if a professor decides to use it. All right, we've seen how this all works from a student's point of view. But to understand why these platforms are pretty much everywhere, we need to zoom out and look at the whole system they're part of. And right here, this is the key connection. This is a Cengage textbook. Cengage is one of the biggest educational publishers on the planet. And guess what? Cengage owns WebAssign. This software isn't just some standalone tool. It's part of a massive package deal that bundles the textbook, the homework platform, and everything else together. So you can really think of this system as a triangle. On one corner, you have the publishers, like Cengage. They make the content and the platform, and their goal is to sell access. On another corner, you have the universities and professors. They choose the tools, and they value things like pre-built assignments and auto-grading that save them a ton of time. And on the third corner, you have the students, the ones who are required to buy access to do their work and get their grade. So, with this whole complex system in mind, how should we even think about a tool like WebAssign? To get some clarity, we're going to borrow a couple of really powerful ideas from, of all places, the world of physics. So in science, you have what's called a model. A model is just a simplified way of representing something really complicated. The key thing about a model is that everyone agrees it's not perfect. It's a useful tool, sure, but it's meant to be tested, it's meant to be challenged, and most importantly, it's meant to be improved over time. But then, on the other hand, you have a law. A scientific law, like the law of gravity, is seen as a fundamental rule about how the universe works. It's not really up for debate. It's a foundational principle that is followed, not questioned. And that brings us to our final question. When we look at a piece of educational technology, like WebAssign, with all of its benefits, its costs, and its frustrations, how should we be treating it? Is it a law of education, an unchangeable rule that we all just have to follow? Or should we treat it like a model, a useful but imperfect tool that we should constantly be testing, questioning, and trying to improve to better serve the actual goal, which is learning? That's really the